Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's your boy Ruben. You know what it is? New week, new video, and this is going to be a tough one because, um, and just like that, I was wrong. First week of the NFL playoff season, I picked the Cowboys Ravens to go to the Super Bowl, and it's Cowboys fans. We really got to talk about it. It was going to take me a couple days to really kind of wrap my mind around some things, and I'm still trying to wrap my mind around some things. So the reason I thought this year was going to be different was because I thought Dak was different, right? And so a lot of the haters are going to say, and a lot of the haters were proven right in this one, okay? In this instance, I still believe there's some nuance to cut through and some of the BS or whatever, because some of the stuff they said was just pure hate. But where this is frustrating is we lost to a team nobody picked to win this game, and we lost in an excruciating manner. 48-32 to the Green Bay Packers is just unacceptable. And it's the kind of thing that heads should have rolled on. And as news reported yesterday, Mike McCarthy's going to return for another season. I'm going to get into that in a minute, but the reason I thought this season was different and Dak was different is because does anybody remember? Cowboys fans should remember. Cowboys fans, Dak Prescott basically leading the league in QBR, rookie season, going into Green Bay, or not going into Green Bay. I believe we hosted Green Bay, and getting down against Aaron Rodgers in a high pressure situation, and Dak responded, brought us back, gave us the opportunity to win the game, and it took Aaron Rodgers going full God mode to really pull out that game at the end of the game. And one of the luckiest kind of weirdest kicks to push them over the hump to beat us. And the reason it was weird is because if you watched it, it was completely off track and somehow hooked in and basically gave Green Bay the game. I watched multiple times throughout that season Dak respond, Dak show his leadership, all the qualities that a lot of us fell in love with Dak. But then through the years, as we've tried to become more of a prolific offense and started relying on Dak more and more and more, his first couple years, I thought, there was plenty of reasons for us to not have achieved the way we needed to achieve. There was the Zeke suspension. There were, sometimes we didn't have, there was injuries. And through all that, Dak played relatively well, but there was always one thing or another that led to us not, kind of achieving what we needed to achieve. At that time, we had Jason Garrett as the coach. Bad coaching, right? So there was plenty of other things to point at. Now, once Dak hurt and broke his ankle, I was all for him getting his money. The ankle gave me pause, but I thought he did enough to earn the money that he got, and I still maintain that. Now, I believed in Dak through all that, but what should be stated is Dak became a different quarterback from that point on. He lost a lot of the mobility, a lot of the things he used to do. He used to look very Jalen Hurts-ish, at least, when he would run the ball. Jalen Hurts, better runner, of course. But there were similarities there, right? So when he lost that, I felt like it took some time for him to find himself as a quarterback. And in that, the problem with Dak Prescott from day one, even when we loved him, is he's not the purest thrower of the football there is. He's a good quarterback. I've never stated that he was a top 5 quarterback. Never argued that at all. I know that there are throws that sometimes he's gonna, miss here and there, but he's a good enough quarterback and he was a good enough athlete that if you put enough around him, he should be able to win you games. I say all of that to say, I thought this year he found himself at quarterback throughout the season. Once we got our ass tore out the frame by San Fran, I really feel like Dak Prescott as a quarterback took off. He no longer looked scared. When he was delivering the ball, he was delivering it, I don't want to say emphatically, but it was, he was dotting people, okay? He was delivering strikes all season. Him and CeeDee Lamb finally established that chemistry that I used to question, and we seem to have taken off as a team. Now, I did state earlier in the season, because before the prediction all year, I was stating I didn't believe the Cowboys would make the playoffs, and it was mainly because of Mike McCarthy. Not make the playoffs, the Super Bowl. It was all because of Mike McCarthy for the most part. Um, and even in my prediction, when I finally changed my mind, because I thought I saw the old Dak, right? And that's what caused me to change my mind is I think and I believe even today that this is a Super Bowl caliber roster. But we have a couple things holding us back, and that's Mike McCarthy. And if Dak was going to be the Dak I've seen the last couple of years, we weren't going to go. I thought Dak again re-established himself and found himself back to what we fell in love with when that during that rookie season, being accurate, making timely plays, things like that. I didn't want to believe that the last couple of years that's just who he was. Where when the lights got bright, he was going to shrink. Um, this is a team devoid of leadership now, and Dak, for all intents and purposes, you can say all the right things, you can be a good leader and say all the right things, but at the end of the day, you have to perform before everything you say starts, falling on deaf ears. And the way Dak has performed at this point, I don't know if when times get tight, the team is going to look at you. And I felt like when we got down immediately, and then especially when he threw the pick, there was a sense of, here we go again. And I think everybody kind of knew we were in for it. Now, I thought, you know what? Hopefully this is, kind of a good test that we pass, and that, like Green Bay's not good. Maybe we can, come back, and with that energy can permeate throughout the team, that, hey, we can get down and we can overcome that. And that's the kind of thing that will rejuvenate the soul of the team. But we didn't. And so, with that being said, I'm officially done with Dak. I still think he's a good quarterback, but at the end of the day, especially with the way we're devoid of leadership on the team, and with this coach, I don't believe we're going to go to the Super Bowl unless we find like veterans to add to the team that I believe can really impose that leadership on the team, which I find it very hard to believe. I don't see how we do it with the combination of Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott without some kind of luck of some kind, ball bouncing the right way. I don't see how it happens, which leads me to my frustration with the organization. I'm not one of these people that thinks, oh man, Jerry Jones, he's just screwing everything up, because I believe Jerry Jones has been a great provider of talent to this team. And I think we have one of the smartest front offices when it comes to finagling the contract so that everybody fits on the team. People are able to get their money. You don't see us make too many hard cuts. Zeke was one, but that was kind of had to be done. He was no longer worth their money whatsoever. But it can be argued that we did miss him. But there was no way to justify his contract at this point. Dak Prescott. Now, with all that being said, I think they fumbled the situation with Dak Prescott. They restructured Dak Prescott so that next year they moved $30 million basically off the books this year to help with the cap room, and next year his cap hit is about $60 million as a result of it. I thought that was an egregious error, and the reason that was an egregious error is because you had to know, or you never planned on getting rid of Mike McCarthy, but you had to know that if you were going to get rid of Mike McCarthy, Dak would probably have to go too. Now, $30 million is a cap hit that I think would have been more doable, but $60 million pretty much all but guarantees he'll be the quarterback going into next year. And as a result of that, I think they pigeonholed themselves into a situation where they were just going to have to run it back. Now, our defense looked atrocious in that game. I don't think that's the defense that we are. I think we all crumbled. And while I think Dan Quinn has, earned a lot more benefit of the doubt equity than Mike McCarthy has, because a lot of people don't seem to remember how bad the Mike Nolan defense was before we got Dan Quinn. I think Dan Quinn's more of an asset than a liability, but their unpreparedness for this game was unacceptable. And I don't think he should have been fired, but I think now it's kind of one of those he's on notice type of deals. But I definitely thought Mike McCarthy should have got fired, and at worst, we should have promoted Dan Quinn to head coach, um, just to kind of keep the consistency of the defense, just to kind of give us a new voice, and move forward without having to completely reboot the team, because that's not what I think is needed. But unfortunately, here we are, and we're going back into next year, and we're just going to redo it again. I don't know what they're going to do with that 60 million. It's almost as if they have to give him the extension just to get under the cap, because we have Michael Parsons coming up, we have CD coming up, and CD just had the best year of his career. And he's gonna want Justin Jefferson money, and Justin Jefferson's coming up, and so it's going to be interesting how we handle the cap situation and what we're going to do. I think Biotis is up. I think Tyron Smith's up. It might be time to say bye to him. Hopefully they've thought about this and had plans. I honestly think next year is going to be kind of a rehash of this year. We don't really have money for free agents. Hopefully we draft well. We do really well at kind of what I do appreciate about this team is there's so much talent. Like the foundation's already set, so they can make minor moves. Like when we got Brandon Cooks, when we got Stephon Gilmore, they can make minor moves to kind of supplement what's already there. What do you do with in terms of maybe making some trades? That's something that could be on the table. Something I'd look at, and I know nobody wants to hear this, is if I had my way, and just throw it out, if I had my way, I would try to figure out a package to move up in that top 5 of the draft. Um, can I, and I know we just paid him, but can I move off of Trayvon Diggs and package a pick or some picks to get into that top 5? And the reason I know, that I'm kind of like maybe we can come off of Trayvon Diggs is because we did just pay him. Maybe we can get off that contract. He tore his ACL. And I know ACL isn't what it used to be, but for a position that relies so much on cutting, running, jumping, so much athleticism and torque on his on that ligament at corner, I don't know the last time I really saw a corner come back from an ACL injury and be the same. Um, and he was an athlete. He was easily our best corner on this team, even with Deron Bland having such a great season. I think he was better than Deron Bland, in that he was Deron Bland, but add just supreme athleticism to it. He was better than both Bland and Gilmore. I would have loved to see them all work out, but with the emergence of Bland, I try to look into maybe packaging Trayvon Diggs. And we have plenty of talent on this team. Look into moving up in the draft. I would take a quarterback, and then I would see what we can do about getting linebackers in here, because we were entirely too small. We missed Leighton Vander Esch very badly, and that's saying a lot because he hasn't been great ever since he originally got that neck injury. But we missed beef on the team, on the defense. We got ran through, pause, all season. I told y'all that was an issue going in, and the fact that Ozzie Smith didn't see much playing time. We didn't sign linebackers. We just basically played all safeties until we eventually just said, "Hey, we got to put Micah in linebacker," and that's problematic. You got to get some beef at linebacker and figure that out. Just my thoughts. I think Caleb Williams is the darling of the draft. If I don't know what miracle you'd have to perform to get to number 1 to get him, but if it's possible, I would do it. And oh my God, Jerry will sell tickets. Caleb Williams here. Just saying. But that's all I got for now, guys. Definitely looking forward to San Fran. and the Ravens in the Super Bowl. That's what I got now. All right. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Peace out, y'all.